What is happening? So, the president is going to speak on what's been going on in Minnesota with them two shootings. Are y'all ready? All right, let's check this out here.
Welcome back to the Will Cain Show, live from Iowa, and now we're here. We're here with President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this.
Is it cold in there?
Well, you know, you do have great ratings.
Well, thank you.
We checked the ratings, but even if you had lousy ratings, I would do your show.
That's a backdrop.
Terrific. You've been a terrific.
Where they at? Cracker Barrel?
They should do very well today with this type of guest today here on the Will Cain Show. Welcome back to the campaign trail. Welcome back to Iowa. How does it feel?
Well, I love Iowa. We've won it 3 times conclusively. There wasn't like any late night voting or anything. We just...
I don't know. They changed up Cracker Barrel. They might be that backdrop might be a Cracker Barrel.
Right at the beginning. The doors closed and they said Trump won. And I love the people. You know, I just get along with the people.
I was watching the other room. You look back in your element. You're back with the people. What do you like better? Do you like this, standing on the stage at a rally, or do you like making a deal? Maybe for...
He's going to say he likes being at a rally, or both. You can't say that you like making a deal more than being at a rally, because that's where the people are.
Greenland.
I think I like maybe the rallies better. Deals are fun, but we made deals. We made record-setting deals. We have $18 trillion coming into the country.
See, if I wanted to run, I could. Tyrone Magnus, making the entire world great.
That's why they're building auto plants, AI. They're building everything. With thousands of businesses are being built all over the country, and you're going to have a beautiful, very positive explosion sometime during the year when these things start opening up. But there's never been no country has done what we've done.
That explosion, that anticipated economic explosion, that's going to be important, because you also need to do something that someone has done very rarely. You acknowledged this a couple of days ago with Maria Bartiromo, and that is for the president in power to win the midterms. I think it's been only twice since 1938 that the sitting president, the president in power, has won the midterms.
Now, I never paid attention to the midterms. And I just, about a half hour ago, watched 2 videos explaining the midterms. And I was like, oh, that's why a lot of the political channels are always saying, make sure you get out and vote for the midterms. Gotcha. I get it.
Are you concerned?
Well, nobody can explain why. You know, even
that's why he had said something about being concerned about being impeached again. So he said they'll find some way. I saw some video clip of him talking about that a few days ago. So now I get it.
We've had an amazing year. There's been a record-setting year in every way. And
see, that's a lesson. You don't know something, go look it up.
Nobody can explain. Even presidents, whether it's Republican or Democrat, when they win, it doesn't make any difference. They seem to lose the midterm. So
only 2 presidents have won their own midterms. Or, you know, their side has won in the midterms. What 2 presidents were they? That's crazy. Since 1937, they said?
It's the only thing I worry about. I said, why? There's some psychological factor out there.
What do you think that is?
But I think it's like 2 in more than 50 years. Well, I don't know. Maybe they want to put up a guard fence. Maybe you just don't know.
Now it looks like they're really there. First it looked like it was just a backdrop.
Well, they seem to lose the midterms, but hopefully we're going to change that. We're doing great. We have the best polling numbers.
So even if they do well, they still lose the midterms. The people are very fickle, aren't they? You get in, even if you start doing well, you still lose. Maybe the fix is in with all those situations. That's a possibility. Maybe there's been a lot more elections where there's been fraud or stalling or stuff like that than we know. Because, you know, like they're always fighting for power, you know. The left and the right, the blue and the red.
We have the best numbers in the country, lowest crime numbers in the history of our country. You know, Minnesota's in the news a lot, but what they don't say is that Minnesota has low numbers because of the fact that we took thousands of hardened criminals out of Minnesota. So they had good crime numbers, believe it or not. And that's all working out. You know, we have Tom Homan there now. We put him in there. He's great. And they met with the governor, the mayor, everybody else. And we're going to...
Let me give you guys an example of how people don't listen. So the other day when I was talking about, it might have been in the last video, but they were saying like this stuff, these riots and people wilding out and having problems with ICE, it's only in the blue states. The states are run by Democrats, they were saying. And somebody then, because somebody commented that, and I was talking about that they were saying that. So then I saw a comment later on that said, not all blue states have this problem. Do you see? If you ever want to be a YouTuber, just keep in mind that it's going to happen. People just do not listen. They just do not listen. In the video, I did not say every blue state has this problem. When someone says this is only happening in blue states, they mean that the states that this has happened in were blue states. That's what they're trying to say. You don't get that? I'm telling you, when you're thinking about a career online, social media, in any form or fashion, people will not hear you. I've got thousands of other, examples for you, but that just came to my head as I'm thinking about this whole situation.
Escalate a little bit, but I will tell you, you look at the numbers, they're doing better than they've done in many years because we took thousands of criminals out of Minnesota. You look at Washington, D.C., it was a very dangerous...
Oh, and here's another thing. Someone sent me another thing the other day about, and I want to look more into this, about when Obama was deporting, and he's still the king, there were people that lost their lives, and people weren't talking about it. So I'll have to look into that. But if that is true, ain't this a big old situation of the pot calling the kettle black? Isn't it? It's like, what? It's like, wait a minute. The other guy deported more, and there were people that lost their lives during the whole thing. And what's the difference then of these two presidents? And one has deported less. Huh? I don't. You know what I mean? I know what you guys are going to say in the comment section. You're going to say TDS. I know what you're going to say.
Dangerous place a year and a half ago. Now it's as safe as you can get. You can walk your family down the middle of the street. Nothing's going to happen. You know, it's right. We got rid of over 2,000 hardened criminals. Many of them led in through the open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden. That was not a good policy, Will.
I want to come back to Minnesota in just one moment, but let's go to those guardrails. I'd imagine you do not feel like you need guardrails in this moment. You talk about the investment.
No, I don't need guardrails. I don't want guardrails. Guardrails would hurt us because, you know, we're free enterprise people. The people in this room, the people of Iowa, are free enterprise. That's why we want it so big 3 times in a row.
I would have to imagine that guardrails would be an understatement of what would happen should you lose the House or the Senate. There's been talk of impeachment. You've been through this before. Yeah. You've been through it multiple times.
I'm a professional.
What will happen? What will happen if Democrats take
the
the
House?
They'll
probably try and impeach me. They'll say he went to Iowa and he spoke unfairly to people and he's not supposed to do that. Let's impeach him, okay? And the people in Iowa would say, how did he get impeached? He just did an interview with Will, who has very good ratings, okay? But they just did an interview with Will. Now, they'll find something. There'll be something... I made the wrong turn at an exit, and let's impeach him. Now, they did that before. They impeached me on a perfect phone call. Turned out they impeached me twice. And by the way, I won the impeachments very easily and quickly.
2 times.
But they impeached.
Good
They're
Lord.
very nasty people. You know, they have bad policy, really bad, but they do 2 things. They stick together. Not stupid. Some are, because, you know, that's true with everything, right? But they stick together, but they have really bad policy. Men and women's sports, transgender for everybody. So many things are so bad. They're horrible to the farmers. And by the way, I just gave the farmers $12 billion because they were treated unfairly. We're taking in a fortune with tariffs. And I wrote them a little check about 2 weeks ago for $12 billion. Anybody in this room get any of it yet?
Look like there might be some farmers in there.
A lot of people. It's a lot of money. And you know what? You deserved it. But we're taking in so much money from the tariffs that we can do that.
I want to talk about the point of view from some of these farmers, some of these people in this room a little bit later, but now I want to take you up on your invitation to talk about Minnesota.
All right, here we go.
Listen, the entire country is talking about what happened this past weekend in Minnesota. You've already spoken about it. Everyone watching has seen it.
Did you guys see the picture of the man that just got shot that they AI'd up, they photoshopped, they made him look more attractive? Did y'all see this? Look it up. The left is apparently using this whole AI to clean up his pictures and make him look in a more favorable light. Yo, they gave him a thicker neck. They changed the color of the whole picture. They gave him a thicker neck, broader chin. They made his shirt bluer that he was wearing. They changed his eyes. They gave him a tan. I was like, yo, you know what that is? That's the halo effect. Halo! Halo! It's halo effect. For those of you that do not know what the halo effect is, it just is psychologically. Yeah, that's the word, right? You ever say a word and then sometimes it just don't sound like you said it right? Psychologically. I think it's psychologically. I haven't said that word in a long time. Anyway, psychologically. Anyway, so, when you see someone that's attractive, in the back of your mind, you just feel, for the most part, that they're more honest and that they're a good person. They might be a total piece of ish, but that's why good-looking people are used in advertisements. They're used to sell things. If you're dealing with a company that has salespeople, they're all good-looking, or a lot of them, or the majority of them, are good-looking. They're above average looks because it lets people's guard down, and it makes you think the best of them when they're good-looking, and you want to buy from a good-looking person more than you'd want to buy from a person that's maybe not so good-looking.
The video, everyone has an opinion. I'm curious what you thought when you first saw that video.
Well, I think the whole thing is terrible. I don't like the fact that he was carrying a gun that was fully loaded and he had 2 magazines with him, and it's pretty unusual. But nobody knows when they saw the gun, how they saw the gun, everything else. Bottom line, it was terrible. Both of them were terrible. The other was terrible, too.
Let me tell you something. That's a horrible formula for what could have happened. Because the way certain people piece it together, and I'm still watching different videos, but some people felt as though, or thought, they believe, like, what might have happened was this. Look, he was armed, which was his right. But the whole thing is, people are like, well, why would you arm yourself to a situation where you're going to agitate people with guns? Why? And impede them, which is illegal. So they're already in an itchy gun hair trigger situation. People's stress levels are high. And no matter what the laws are, you always have to remember the nature of the beast. And that beast are humans. And humans sometimes act real out of character and don't follow the laws and don't follow the rules. And you're willing to go see if they're going to follow the letter of the law? I don't think so. That's why so many parents tell their children, look, if you get stopped by the cop, whether he's right or wrong, just give him the license, registration, just answer his questions so you can be off. Because as soon as you start fighting, you do not know what type of day he's had. You don't know how mentally stable he is. He got the gun and you don't know what's going to happen. Fight it later in court and get things done there. Because, look, it is what it is. It's tribalism. But they do take care of their own. I've watched too many body cam to where it's like clearly they almost always side with each other. And I've seen some where it's body cam, and they don't. They'll pull them to the side like, look, bro, we need to do it like this because, and they'll let them know. So to those cops right there, mad respect to those cops that call out their brethren, But yeah, there's that. And then apparently he has a model gun that it has a hair trigger. It's known to have a hair trigger. Owners are known to have hurt and taken themselves out with that because of that hair trigger. And you bring that to the place, so people think when they disarmed him, they're like gun, they grab it, they disarm him, it goes off. Others can't see the officer that did take it off him. So from different perspectives, certain officers can't see. All they hear is the pop. It might have been the hair trigger with the gun going off with them disarming him. And then they're thinking he's shooting, but he's not. It's the gun going off because it's a faulty gun. And then they're scared for their lives. So they start unloading. It's a horrible situation. But like I always said, look at the root of it. He came there with a specific thing in mind. He wanted to agitate. So when you want to agitate and impede, they telling people to get out the street. They pushed that lady, which I don't think they should have. I think they just should have backed her up, got in her face, back up, man, back up. But who knows? Maybe they told her 1,000 times, but with law enforcement, sometimes they're allowed to push you. So anyway, so they push her. He went to help her up. If it was me and I was there, first of all, I'd have been on the sidewalk. I'd have been on the sidewalk peacefully protesting. And when I saw her get pushed, I'm like, you got to do it the right way. Get up. You got to do it the right way. Get on the sidewalk with me. Now, I held my sign up and kept saying what I was saying peacefully. But he went to help her. After they pushed her, they grabbing him up. He looks like he's struggling with them. He's struggling with them, so they're going to say that's resisting. You know what I mean? It's a whole recipe for disaster. And I just wouldn't have been there. I don't know why people, it's like they got a fever. They have an itch to jump into this stuff and get themselves into trouble, get themselves arrested, get themselves in possible danger. When they got friends, family, children, people that love them at home, and they might not return, going out here acting crazy. You see the chick that grabbed the flashbang? You see that? This video of a chick that grabbed a flashbang. I will never in my life pick up something that looks like a hand grenade or a grenade of some sort and run with it. Or try to, I don't know the timing of that thing. These people are wild.
Sure about his parents, but I know her parents were big Trump fans. Makes me feel bad anyway, but I guess you could say even worse. They were tremendous Trump people, Trump fans, and the daughter was, she was, I don't know if you could say radicalized, maybe not. I don't know, but I hate to see it. I hate to see that.
You bring up the term radicalized. What do you think is happening? You see these people in these videos, they feel very emboldened to step in and interfere with law enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about protest, holding signs. I'm talking about people physically interfering with immigration enforcement. Why? Why?
Never. I would never.
Throughout the whole country. We have done so much work throughout the whole country. We don't have any problem. The only one we have is Minnesota. We're in a lot of different places. New Orleans, we're in the governor of Louisiana called they have a big problem in New Orleans. And we went there. We've cut the crime by...
Every time we talk about this, too, somebody ends up writing something in the comments about, well, slavery was legal at one time. Yeah, it was. And what did I tell y'all before? If I was involved in something in a country where something was going on and I had a major issue with their legal system, then I'm leaving. Okay? That's why you had slaves that were leaving and going up north, or slaves that were leaving and going back to Africa. They had ways of getting back. Okay, and then when you go all the way up to Jim Crow and Martin Luther King, I told y'all there's a couple things I would have did, 2 or 3 things I would have did. I personally like being around my friends and family. So if the majority of them are staying down south, then I'll be out there peacefully protesting. Okay? Peacefully protesting. If I really didn't care, if I was really just like, look, I'm going here and y'all need to come with me, I'd either be going north or I'd be going back to Africa. One of the two. If I was around back then, that's what had been happening. But I wouldn't have been running around trying to physically agitate police officers and all that other stuff. Because especially back then, there was a whole lot of hatred toward us. And they liked, I've read some stories, man. It was wild back then. So, yeah, that's what I did. I'm still, they're trying to bring up these, situations where they say, oh, well, yeah, well, would you want to break the law then? Would you want to, it's just either or with a lot of these people. There's no shades of gray for situations. Yes, there are certain things I don't agree with in this country, but as a whole, I've never had a problem coming up here. You know what I'm saying? I've never had a problem. I hope he get rid of income tax. I hope he get rid of that. I think that's one thing most people got a problem with. It's like income tax. No, most people don't want to pay no darn income tax. It's expensive enough to live. You know what I'm saying? But man, if I was living somewhere it was real wild, like a lot of these immigrants, they live places that are really dangerous. As soon as I was old enough to put in the paperwork to leave, I would have done it and lived as safely as possible until I could come here legally. That's how I would have did.
67% in 4 weeks. It'll be down to practically nothing soon. Washington, D.C., we don't have problems. Like, right. We've cut it down from a lot. It was very bad. It was terrible. People go to Washington to look at the Lincoln Monument and they end up getting whacked or whatever, killed in some cases. Numerous killings. That's a beautiful, safe place now. Memphis, Tennessee, one of the worst in the whole country. And now it's got very little crime.
But it's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in.
Yeah.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you make little changes. Bovino's very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here. But you have to understand, when I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like, that, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out, murderers. We had 11,888 murderers let into our country by other countries, by Biden with his open border stupid policy. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You talk about bad policy. Open borders where people were coming, so the whole world, the Congo, Venezuela, all over the world, they're letting people in from their prisons and they're feeding them into the United States. And they're murderers and they're drug dealers and they're everything else you can think of, every bad name you can think of. And they let them in by the millions. We close the border. We have nobody coming into our country anymore. Literally.
It just shows how hard it is to clean up. Even after you close it, it shows the price that we paid under Joe Biden.
It's the hardest thing when you think of it. Inflation we've solved. It's done. We have it good. Where prices are coming way down. They were just saying in Iowa, the fuel is $1.95. Did you hear that? Somebody said $1.85, but it was $3.50, $4.50 just a year and a half ago. You look at eggs, you look at groceries, it's all down. Everything's come down. Do you notice they don't mention affordability anymore?
I did notice that. I was at Walmart a couple weeks ago with Scarlo, and specifically, I remember this because I remember the green apples, organic green apples, the Granny Smith. I remember at one time they were like $4.99. I remember that. They may have even been less at one point. But I kind of remember that $4.99 number. And a few months ago, I checked, and I went in there, they were like $7.99. I couldn't believe it. $7.49, $7.99. I was like, what? What? And then a few weeks ago, like I said, I was in there with her, and they were down to like 5 something. I was like, okay. Trump, my apples is coming down in price, all right.
Old-fashioned.
So I guess it's happening.
Affordability, but they were the ones that caused it. I didn't cause it. I came in, prices were way too high.
I think you get the prices of RAM down.
We had the highest inflation in the history of our country. 48 years, they say. I say the history. But we had the highest, let's say in 48 years, the highest inflation. Prices were way high. Now I've got the prices down, and they're going down still further. But think of it. We brought fuel from $4, $3.50, $3.75 down to $1.99, $1.08. I was just told in Iowa $1.85.
Yeah, I noticed the gas prices were going down too. I noticed that a little while ago. Yeah.
No doubt. But that leaves that problem, like you said, the hardest one to solve. People say they want our immigration laws
enforced. The hardest one to solve is.
I remember a conversation that you and I had a year and a half ago with your Secretary of War, our friend Rachel Campos Duffy, and you said to me, you looked at me and said, it's going to be difficult when the New York Times runs a picture of a little kid being taken away from their mother. It's going to be difficult. And by the way, that basically happened to you a week ago. It was propaganda, and it was false about a 5-year-old.
By the way, it was a totally false story.
Totally fake story.
Yeah, totally.
But you're now dealing with the difficulty of the propaganda in the face of enforcing.
And I knew that, Will.
In the face!
Are you still
we take out 25 murderers.
Only some of y'all going to get that. I'll bet all of y'all should get it.
We take out a whole group of people by the thousands. And if we get one person a little bit wrong, headlines. But they don't talk about all the tremendous, the reason that
that's what I was saying. I was like, y'all are flipping out. And I'm talking about before the shootings. They are all flipping out of all these situations. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Is this the majority of everything that's happening? Or are these outliers? Are these exceptions? It's human to err, right? There's going to be situations like that, where it's not done the right way. They're going to mistake people. And I think that those wrongs need to be righted, whether they are compensated, financially or whatever it is that's supposed to happen. Because that can be traumatizing to people getting snatched up at work when you ain't that person. You know what I mean? You might be around a few that they're rounding up, and all of a sudden they want to snatch you up. No, I don't like that. Please get it right. But still, you're telling me that never happened once in the 3 million or 2.5 to 3 million that Obama deported? Not one person happened to. Sorry, sir. We thought no, okay, you're good to go. You know what I mean? Like.
Minnesota crime down. I talk about that because it's only down for one reason. We took out so many criminals, but other states are way down. So the report came out. Now think of it. In the history of this country, we have the lowest number of murders. We have the lowest crime, the best crime numbers. That's despite the fact that millions, I say 25 million people, millions of people were let in through the border by Biden. And many of those people were not people you want to have in the country.
So what's going to change? You put in Tom Homan. Have you spoken today to Tom Homan?
Well, yeah, I have. Tom is fantastic. Tom is a tough guy, but I've watched over the years, and he's gets along with governors, and he gets along with mayors. Some people don't. Some people just want to do their job and leave me alone.
You know what this all reminds me of? Back when Homan was talking about the whole deportation thing, and people were making a big deal of, oh my God, they're separating families. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This happens every day, literally every single day. This is what happens with normal law enforcement, the police in your neighborhood, when they arrest the parent for drug use or theft or whatever it is that they got in trouble for. They have to separate the children from the parents. And they make it sound like it's just never happened before in history. In the whole deportation process, that doesn't happen. And I found out that due process doesn't always include a trial. It doesn't always include a trial. Not everybody gets a trial. It depends on who you are and what you did, what the circumstances are. Not everybody gets a trial. You know what I'm saying?
Sort of okay, too. That's generally been okay. Most of them are happy. Memphis...
You know, it's weird. It's like when I start to dig for what's really going on, it's like you find out one side is just blatantly lying about certain things. I'm not saying that the Republicans never lie, but I'm just like, whoa, just disregard truth for a narrative. It's wild. Like, man.
Very tough, very straightforward. We're taking the criminal out. We're getting them out, either putting them in jail, because some are so bad that you don't want to send them to where they came from because you're afraid they're going to come back. They're murderers. So some are very down and straight, and others, Tom, I've noticed, as tough as he is, he gets along very good with governors and mayors. Now, I spoke to the mayor and to the governor yesterday, and they want to see it cleared up.
I'm so fascinated by your conversation with Governor Tim Walz.
And I remember him saying that, look, well, we're going to deport you, but we'll help you come back the right way. That sounds good. I'm hearing people are getting free flights and $1,000 and everything. I mean, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to do something wrong and you know it's wrong, I think ignorance is different. However, depends on the situation and with your ignorance and what you do. But if you go to do something wrong and you know it's wrong, you have to take that into account what could happen to you. And it's like, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Like I've seen situations where guys knew they did something wrong and the cops are arresting them and they just like, they're not fighting. They're not struggling. That look on their faces. Did the crime, gotta do the time now. Damn, they got me. I've seen that before. That's how you have to take it into your mind. See, some criminals, they know repercussions. They don't even get mad. They're just like, damn, I knew the stakes. I knew the stakes was high for me getting arrested for this, and I did it anyway. Damn, got caught. Only person they can be mad at is themselves. Nobody else.
And has suggested this at modern-day Gettysburg. He has likened his situation to Anne Frank in the Holocaust. He has said that ICE is your Gestapo army. And then you guys speak on the phone. I'm fascinated by that conversation.
It couldn't have been a nicer conversation. And in fact, I said to my people, I said, it's hard to believe that's the same guy I watch on television, or I watch in the debate not doing so well, or we had a very reasonable conversation, very good conversation. If you believe the conversation, he'd like to get this thing over with. But think of
yes, I'm well aware of political theater. And that's what makes me think of that. It's like, yo, they all know each other. They're all cool with each other. They all rubbing shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Yo, this is just a show for all of y'all. And I told you, I call it political theater. You know, I tend to lean toward the thought process was just similar to the Matrix. You know, you're given two sides, but both sides are controlled by something else higher anyway that controls both of them. So no matter who wins, things get done that the higher ups above the president want to get done. So it doesn't matter who you pick. You know what I'm saying? It was funny because I was concerned about certain things happening. Even if he did get elected, I was like, but I'm still concerned. And they're starting to happen. And I saw it happening with the left, absolutely. With him, I was hoping not. And it looks like certain things are starting to happen that I was concerned about. It only feeds into the whole thing, for me, of it don't matter who you vote for, because somebody is pulling the strings from above. That, and I ain't talking about God, okay? Some other people are pulling strings from above that control both sides.
In the whole country, we've done this so much. We have the crime down to a level that nobody ever, I campaigned a little bit on crime, a lot on the border. Mm-hmm. The problem is I gave you the best border in the history of our country. Nobody wants to talk about it anymore. I did it a long time ago. I was able to do it. Within 3 months of taking office, I had that border locked. and closed. And, nobody even tries to come up anymore. It's easy now. Nobody even tries to come up. Before they were coming up by the millions. But nobody wants to talk about that. They only want to talk about whatever the last thing is.
Mm-hmm.
But we're taking out thousands and thousands of criminals. And the worst thing that Biden did to this country, because again, inflation I can solve, all this stuff. The hardest thing to solve is when you have people brought into the country and you have to take those people. We have a very unfriendly court system, frankly, especially at the lower levels. Take those people and you have to say, I'm sorry, but you're going out. And in many cases, they're murderers. And they shoot you. They kill you. You've seen that, where they kill you. You're after a murderer. Sir, you're going to have to come with me. And they end up shooting you. It's a very tough job that they have.
Yeah.
I know you addressed it this morning. You talked about the incredible success. And it is an incredible
They
success.
talk about them not being able to wear, they shouldn't be wearing masks. Only thugs wear masks. What are you talking about? Law enforcement has been wearing masks for specific operations forever. What are you talking about? It protects their identity, their families, so they can't take their families and blackmail them and all this other stuff. What are y'all talking about? Yo, Renee, Nicole Good, and Alex, was it Pretti? Should have both been at home or peacefully protesting, not standing in their way, antagonizing and impeding. They should have been peacefully protesting. That's it. That's what they should have been doing. You know what I'm saying? And I feel bad. They should not be dead. And I don't think either one of them deserve death. And the people I feel bad for in this whole immigration thing are the children and the people that were brought over here, bussed over, like, come on over. Get on in. The water's fine. Just vote for good old Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
At the southern border, but you were asked, with the shift in Minneapolis and Tom Homan going to Minnesota, do you still have confidence in DHS Secretary Kristi Noem? You brought up the success at the border.
Look,
you do.
She was there with the border. Who closed up the border? She did, with Tom Homan, with the whole group. I mean, they closed up the border. The border is a tremendous success, one of the most secure borders in the entire world. We were a laughingstock 1.5 years ago for the whole world. The whole world laughed at us. I had friends that said, is that real? They'd look at a picture. You've been down to the border. They'd look at a picture of the border with hundreds of thousands of people pouring in like it was water. And they said, is that really taken? They can't believe it. They think it's one of these crazy movies that they make. The border was horrible. It was horrible.
I get people over here.
First time I won, 2016, I won.
And they do be laughing at us and talking trash about Americans because I've seen them in the comments. Oh, you Americans are so stupid. You do this, you do that. You Americans are so this. You Americans are. And I'm just like, man, a lot of balls come out of running. I ain't banned, but like they all get deleted and banned. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I know America's not perfect. I don't think there's any country out there that's perfect. Some of the people talking trash are from countries where it's like, wait, what goes on there? Like, clean up your own kitchen before you start talking trash about us.
On the border. But that border was nothing, and I fixed it immediately. It was great. We had great years, and we had a great economy. We had the best economy in history in 2016, my first term. And we rebuilt the military, and we get the largest regulation cuts. We had the best job number. We had a great first term. This term seems to be blowing it away. I mean, the only thing we have is a Minnesota situation, and that is, I believe, easily resolved.
Okay. You're about to take the stage.
It is. Peacefully protest. Don't impede. Let them do their job. There we go.
I will. I imagine you're going to talk about the economy.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your plan is if the Supreme Court rules negatively on your tariffs. You talk about the tariffs
We'll have to find another way.
Is there a plan B?
Yeah, the tariffs have been indispensable towards success. We've taken in $600 billion in tariffs. I gave the farmers $12 billion last week. I took them out of tariff money. It's kept the unfair competition out of our country. Now, they can build their auto plant here, but they can't build a plant in some place with, labor costs for a penny and then sell it into this country and then charge people a lot of money for the car.
Right.
So the only way they can do that, they have to build the plants here. So the big auto companies from Germany, from Mexico, from Canada, Mexico and Canada are literally, their plants are closing down. They're moving into this country. So we have more activity than we've ever had. We have thousands of businesses all over the country being built. We have hundreds of big major factories between AI, autos, and many other things being built.
Let
me
tell you something, y'all. I got a bad feeling that this next election, like after him, I know some of y'all say we're not going to get to it and he's going to stay in that. I don't know, whatever. But I get a feeling that this next election is going to be absolute mayhem. I do. I got a real bad feeling about this next election. Not midterms. I'm pumped about that for the next president.
World peace.
For world peace, yeah. We have to use it for world peace.
But what happens if the Supreme Court strikes down the tariffs?
We will find some other way of doing a similar thing. But it'll be more inconvenient.
I was just speaking to some of the diners here today. Right. David Ullman, he's lived in Iowa for a long time.
This looks like
he does express concern about the tariffs and the effect it's had on farmers in Iowa.
Well, it's going to be don't forget, they just kicked in. And we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. And
that's what I'm hoping. It all even out. If he can get everything going with the tariffs, and then he can get rid of income tax too. That's what I'm hoping. There's economists that say it can't be done. I don't know. But I'm hoping it can. Just people all the time say something can't be done. Y'all do know this, right? It's impossible. It's impossible. It cannot be done. I've been a scientist for 55 years. Look. And then someone does it. How did he do this? And they explain it. Gadzooks. They never thought about doing it that way. I'm just hoping he can.
Kept a lot of people out that want to come in and rip off For years, it was the reverse. China would charge us tariffs. Other countries would charge us tariffs. I've totally reversed it. Japan gave us $550 billion. South Korea is supposed to give us $350 billion. But what happens is they're coming in, they're building plants, they don't have to pay tariffs. If they don't do that, so what's happening is we're getting a tremendous amount of business coming to this country, and they're coming in fast and sharp. I think the farmers are going to be the biggest beneficiary, because when you used to have people coming in and dumping their crops into the United States, and you guys were hurt, they're not allowed to do that because we're tariffing those crops.
Just a couple more questions.
I think the farmers, in a way, and it's going to take a little while to kick in, and the farmers stuck with me the first
time.
The
campaign show right there.
When China did a little bit of a number, they gave you $28 billion then, because it was a help.
He letting the farmers know, like, no, listen, I helped y'all. That's what he trying to make sure they get it.
Because they were taken advantage of for years. We gave them 28. Now we gave them 12, sort of a minimal payment, $12 billion for the farmers. Nobody else would be able to do that.
Trying to get that word in edgewise.
But the tariffs are going to be phenomenal for the farmers, but they just
nods here as you're talking.
A lot of nodding.
A couple more questions. A couple quick more questions.
So they all work for me.
One serious one. This whole Minnesota thing, it started because of a focus on fraud. It started because of illegal immigration and welfare fraud.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people keep telling me that. Like this, they keep saying it's all a distraction. Because to certain people that think that these two people aren't even dead. They are saying that it's all a distraction because of the Somali fraud and Waltz and that chick that was involved. I can't remember her name. But that's what they keep saying. I don't know. And there's some people, everything's a distraction. Everything. Ronald McDonald fell down and it hurt his balls. It's a distraction. It's a distraction from the Epstein files. All of this is a distraction from the Epstein files. Everything. They found a new moon on Jupiter. It's a distraction because of the Epstein files. It's like everything that happened, no matter what it is. The snowstorm is a distraction because of this. I've seen that. The snowstorm is a distraction because of the Epstein files. I'm like, everything can't be a distraction, y'all. Like, I believe in distractions. You know what I mean? Definitely looked into false flag and a lot of other stuff. I just don't think every single thing that happens is a distraction. I don't.
The question is, will there be accountability in Minnesota and beyond?
There's got to be.
Other states, California.
Minnesota is one state. If you look at California, so in Minnesota they think it's $19 billion. If they think it's $19 billion, triple it or quadruple it. And if we catch a lot of this fraud, and I felt it for a long time, but now we know what's happening. And the answer is, yeah, there will be accountability. It's one of the little problems. You know, I happen to think, and I've said from the beginning, that a lot of what's going on.
Yeah, I heard you're looking into that chick's her net worth now, because she says she ain't no multi-millionaire, but they're saying that she is. And boy, by the way, if you think I pause too much, you got to either stop watching my videos, go to another channel or something, because I'll never stop pausing to talk. It's called commentary. Okay? All right.
And with respect to Minneapolis, you know, with what's happening with all the hoopla, is so people don't talk about.
You think it's
fraud.
a distraction?
I've said it from day one. It's a distraction, because what you don't see is that we have hundreds of accountants from Todd and from all of the different people. We have hundreds of accountants going over everything that's happening, and we're finding fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And I think that they don't want that to happen.
They got billions from the government.
$1 billion, probably that's a minimal number. Now, you take that and you go to California, you think California is better? I would say California is worse. It's totally out of control. They don't know what they're doing out there. The governor is, I actually thought he was a pretty nice guy, but he has no clue what he's doing. Look at a railroad. He builds a railroad. It's like 20 times more expensive than it was supposed to be. And what they did to get down the cost, they made it shorter, so it doesn't go to San Francisco.
You saw what he said, right? He's claiming victory in Minnesota, by the way. He has posted that you have retreated in Minnesota, Governor Gavin Newsom, and he is encouraging people to keep the pressure up.
See, I haven't heard that at all, because it's just the opposite. I was called by the governor yesterday. I was called by the mayor yesterday. How do we do something? Please, how do we do something? I think it's bad for them. I don't think it's bad for us. I think it's bad for them.
Yeah, you'll have to see what Governor
But it's not
Newsom
a question of retreat. We want safe cities. Whether it's if we took a lot of the crime out of there. We want safe cities and states. We want a safe country. And again, we just got a report done by Democrats.
Yeah, remember, where did he send the National Guard to? Was it Chicago? And everybody was all thankful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that they could walk down the street and go out and dine during the daytime and nighttime and enjoy it. Like, I know he ain't perfect, but I tell you, people got
recorded right now.
Right. Along with a secure border. I'm just looking around.
I've never seen so much hate for one president ever. I'm trying to think of the last president that I saw hate for that people didn't like. Who was it? Bush? The second Bush? That's what I'm thinking. It was the second Bush. A lot of people did not like him because of that war. It was all about the oil and, you know, people talking about false flags and everything else. But I think it was Bush, the second Bush. The people liked Obama. You know, all the presidents, you know, people had problem with them, but I'm just, where it was, you know, where people had a problem with him, yeah. He's the only one I can think of. I grew up during the 80s. I remember Reagan. I think a lot of people liked Reagan. Yeah, and I remember Clinton. People were calling him the first black president. I remember that.
You know, who's here today? There's a lot of people.
Remember both Bushes.
Not here is your Secretary of State, and I'm afraid he made a very big mistake. He gave an interview where he said that one of his tricks with you is on Air Force One. Marco Rubio goes into a room and covers himself up with blankets so that you won't see him sleeping, that you'll think it's a staffer. And so I think there's only one of two ways you go with this. You give him yet another job,
yeah,
or you pull the blankets back.
That's what he wants. Let me tell you, he's doing a fantastic job. He's a tough cookie.
He's fantastic.
He's a tough cookie. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State we've ever had.
Remember Arnold? He said, do it the right way.
A tremendous problem in conjunction with
chick on The View kept
Syria.
grabbing his hand.
Saved many lives.
Oh, you're saying the wrong thing. He said, no, to come back and you do it the right way, you fill out the right paperwork. You come over here and you look what I did for myself. It's fantastic over here. The United States of America is the greatest country in the world. Come on, go back. Come over here the right way. Do it. Do it now. Get down.
Been a lot of lives all over the world.
Ow.
And 8 wars. I'm very proud of that because it's not tough for me. We're trying to end one more, by the way, Russia, Ukraine. And I think we're going to get that done too.
Russia, Ukraine's still going.
Tens of millions of lives, and I'm happy about that.
Should be proud.
Thank you.
I know you're a big sports fan, so we'll end here. We now have the Super Bowl set. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks. Now, usually when someone asks you these questions, you answer with, which of these two teams have a greater affiliation in fandom of President Donald Trump?
That's true. In those
so
cases,
I'm curious, have you already done the analysis?
Well, I tell you what, no, but
who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Bob Kraft is a friend of mine, and I've watched that team. You know, you got to hand it to him. He had the great team, and now he's got the great team again.
That is.
So I just want to be fair, and you've been fair, and you've also been nice. And so it was an honor to do it. When I heard and very fair to me, I don't even say nice. I just want to be fair.
We called a lot of audibles right here at the last moment. We really appreciate you joining us.
Okay, cool. I think we're done here. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. If you enjoyed my thoughts and commentary, my reaction, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. 10 million subscribers.